NFR.
NFR Extra is a podcast dedicated to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo and features icons and personalities that embody the Western lifestyle.
I'm going to have to sit in your seat in the locker room because I've always sat in the same seat for the last, 10 years that we've had it other than Arlington. And Jess has always been on my right. He goes, I'm going to have to sit in your seat so no one thinks they can take it. In rodeo, we don't have that luxury of downtime.
Yeah.
Unless you're not making the finals. And I've never not made the finals since my rookie year. It made me realize two things. One, I am not ready to be done with rodeo. But two, I also know that my life in rodeo has less time in it than it did than start. Like, I know I'm on the backside of my career, for sure.
This is pro rodeo announcer Andy Seiler, and you are listening to NFR Extra. So, Tim, you're probably a little frustrated right now, but you are a man who's very, very positive and understands that what you're going through right now is part of the process. So tell us about life in the rehab world.
Yeah, I was frustrated for probably about 4 hours total.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean, I was real frustrated on the second time around. I knew going into last year's NFR, I knew I had a torn groin. I had a torn groin all last year. But it was a big partial tear. We had it under control. Things were going really good. But the thing about the NFR that no one will understand unless you compete, it is the great equalizer. There's something wrong with you. It will show in that 10 days. There's no time to recover. There's no time to rest it. Like, you just have to go. And my finals was being very frustrating. I've never been that ice cold out there, and I aggravated that groin the very first round. So round 9 comes around, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to send it. No matter how hard it hurts, like, I have a really good horse. I'm going to turn it loose, and I'm going to go after it. And I did. I ended up winning second in the round, but I finished tearing the rest of my groin off.
Yeah.
So round 10 comes, like, I did everything that could work, but about, the 5-6 second mark, my left leg shuts down, and I make the ride, but it, wasn't pretty either. I end up thinking it's probably all right. It was just the finals. I go to Billings in the week after the NFR, and my left leg doesn't work at all. I mean, from the second, third jump, it just quit. So I messaged Tandy. He got me in contact with Dr. Myers. Yeah, I mean, the groin's the rest of the way off. My adductor had come completely off my pelvic floor at that point. So January 4th, we have surgery. It's a very successful surgery. He was very happy with it. He actually ended up removing about 6 inches of bone spurs that were created from it, from trying to scar itself in there. So I think, honestly, that's part of the complication of what happened later on. Was there was more to it than just the muscle tearing off.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gives me my rehab. He's got a very specific, day-to-day, what your groin, how it respond to this and what you should be doing. And I mean, it was dead on. I mean, from the day-to-day, how fast I was recovering, to the point, at week 9, I was 9 weeks and 6 days from my first round at Houston. That was my goal.
Okay.
Well, he cleared me. He goes, you're good. You've really exceeded all of our expectations for this. I would clear you to get back on. So I talked to Tandy, and I was like, do you think this is a good idea? And he goes, I don't think it's the best idea, but I don't think it's a horrible idea either. So he goes, you have to go through some certain things, though. He goes, you have to get on your spur board and ride that in a way that you would if you didn't just come off surgery. And from there, you need to get on a bucking machine and do the same thing. And if all those go good, go to Houston. But if you get on in Houston and you start getting sore, you have to be man enough to say, stop.
Right.
That's a good checklist for me. I can handle that. spurboard goes great. I was doing that for, a week and a half before. I felt like I was my normal self. So my vehicle was down in Dallas, and I knew that Tarlington had a bucking machine. So me and a couple guys, this is like 2 days before my set starts at Houston. And I get on the bucking machine the first time, things go really good, but we had it in kind of a lower gear.
Right.
And the second time, I was like, let's do this one more time, turn it up to normal speed. Things go good. I'm going. Like, it's game on. Well, he clicks the machine on. I go to mark it out, feel this pop, like right by like where my scar is, and like a shiver go down my leg. We immediately stopped. I got sore, got weak, didn't even went to go sit on a spurboard just to get in like our position, and like my body was not having it. So I was like, okay, Houston's out. Like, so I take a doctor's release and I wait till week like 13, like Easter weekend. Like, I'm 2.5 weeks past like full medical protocol release. And I go to Marshall because we live in Iowa now. We moved up to Iowa right after the finals. So I go back to my college at Missouri Valley. I got Jess Pope as one of my pickup men. I got my coach there. We bring out like our beginner kids horse. Like, if you've never been on a bucking horse, this is the one we're going to put you on. And it was like the third or fourth jump, like that leg shuts down, and I can see it shutting down and feel it shutting down. I double grab, and Jess rides up and grabs me. He goes, "You all right?" And I was like, "I really can't get a hold of my left foot. Like, you're going to have to hold me here for a second." He goes, "Let me get the flank." Pops the flank. I get off on Jess, and he's holding me. And in typical Jess Pope fashion, he kisses me on the forehead because I'm just kind of holding on to him. And he goes, "You all right, little buddy?" And I was like, "Jess, I'm not sure if my leg's going to hold me when you set me down, so just give me a second." So he sets me down, and I'm kind of zinging and walking off, and I feel fine. And I was like, this is all right. I'm just not ready yet. Just got to break up some scar tissue. Well, later that night, I start bruising, and 2 days later, about a third of the way down my leg, I'm black and blue all the way down my leg, and my scar looks very broken up, and I'm like, this is not good. I've never bruised from this injury before. And I was sending pictures to the surgeon and Dr. Tandy Freeman. Tandy wanted me to come down a couple weeks ago. We did another MRI, and I mean, it showed like the whole surgery gave away. And really, I think looking back on it, I think when I got on that bucking machine, that pop wasn't scar tissue like everyone thought it was. I think it pulled on that surgery site.
Right.
And it wasn't going to matter what I got on, when I got on it. Like, it was going to come apart. So, and I was honestly, before I know how to make the finals on a late start. I did it in 2019. But I've never had an injury quite like this either. Like, I was coming off a shoulder. Well, you don't need you need your shoulder, but you really don't need your shoulder to ride a bucking horse. You just need it to stay hooked.
Right.
Where a bareback rider uses their groin in every aspect of the ride.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I can do this. I made this run up of how I was going to, get my way back into finals contention. And I just didn't like it. And as I was sitting in one of the MRIs, I was like, you know what? This just needs to be a year that you don't make the finals. Like, you're going to go get your qualifications for next year and get on the horses you want to get on, and make sure that, we don't do anything ridiculous to re-agitate this thing. This is before I really tore it off too. So I had it in my mind that I was going to come back when I wanted to come back, get on the horses I wanted to. And then in August, I was going to take off and have my knee redone and come back fully healthy in 25. How God planned it out is I'm not getting on a single horse the rest of this year. So, that was where I was a little irritated for 4 hours that I'm not going to make a showing at all this year, but that's not in my hands. I can only control what I can control, and what I can control is my attitude moving forward and how I come back next year.
And that is why we have 3 world titles beside your name.
Yeah, I mean, my wife says that all the time. I mean, my mind and my drive and what I'm willing to do to get where I want in my profession is, I think, more than anything, your mental side of this game is so much. There's so much more to it than going out and riding a bucking horse. I mean, if you're a bareback rider, you can ride a bucking horse. It's just the basics, doing the basics at a fast speed and a style that's appropriate to how your body mechanics work. But being able to do the things in the dark so they shine in the light, doing the things that nobody else wants to do, the things that are going to step you apart just a little bit. So when it comes down to the 8 seconds after the 10th round, they give you a gold buckle after it.
So what turned you around after those 4 hours? Was it a kid running up and calling you dad, or what was it that snapped you out of it?
It was my wife. My kids, if you've all seen me in the arena, I'm pretty rough. Like, I wear my emotions on my face. Like, I can't hide it. Like, I'm just that guy. When I'm happy, when I'm mad, I wear it all out. Like, I'm not a person that hides stuff. So my wife knew, and it was, we had a good night as a family. Like, I wasn't going to be a crabby dad with my kids, running around, and healthy family and in a brand new house and, close to family. Like, I wasn't going to ruin our night, but like, my wife knew that I was really upset. And, she just basically talked me down that night when, we were together afterwards, saying, she kind of pointed out the things that I've taken for granted over the years that now I'm super excited about. Like, since we started dating, we've never spent a summer together. I've never had a true summer with my children. Now I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. Like, in the summer for us, like, and I'm one of them guys that comes home a lot. Like, I'm the first flight out after a weekend's over, and I'm the last flight to get back to the first rodeo of the week. Like, I take as much time at home as possible, but to have a weekend with the kids, or the 4th of July, like spending the 4th of July with your family, like things that people take for granted. This is going to be the first time I ever get to do them. So the excitement for the memories to be made for the time that we've never had, that excites me. It also excites me that I'll get to come back healthy, like fully healthy for the first time. And I mean, I haven't had an ACL on my right knee since 2017.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And yeah, I had torn my ACL in Cheyenne, and and then took 2 weeks off and came back to rodeoing because I had a world title to defend. Like, that was just my mindset, and I just coped with not having that throughout the years, which I think has led to these ongoing injuries since 2018. I think my body's compensated for injuries that just need to get taken care of, but in rodeo, we don't have that luxury of downtime.
Yeah.
Unless you're not making the finals, and I've never not made the finals since my rookie year.
Oh, wow. So this will be your first year not coming to Vegas aside from Texas year.
Correct. I made it for my first time in 2014 and haven't missed a year since.
Let's take a quick pause, and we'll be right back. Want to relive the best NFR moments from the last 38 years? We've got you covered at NFRExperience.com. Check out the NFR History tab at the website for a walk, or should we say gallop, down memory lane. You'll find images, recaps, and videos from the greatest moments from the last 37 years in Las Vegas. From Ty Murray to Trevor Brazil, Louis Field to Casey, Charmaine James to Mary Berger, Fred Whitfield to Joe Beaver, and everything in between, you'll find it here. There's something for all rodeo fans. Check it out at NFRExperience.com. The biggest stage, the brightest lights, the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo.
Talk about the history of Vegas as a general within the 10 years that you've been here. There's been a lot of changes.
Man, has there ever been a lot of changes? Like, we're coming up, like, my tenure as a rodeo athlete is coming into the second contract year. Like, my first NFR paid $19,000 for a round. Now they're, by the end of this next contract, they're looking at paying $50,000. Like,
yeah.
The history of the bareback riding since my first finals, there's only been different world champions in the bareback riding. Like,
Wow.
there's been Casey, Clayton, Jess, myself, Keenan, Stephen Peebles. That's it for the last 16 years, since 2010. So I guess that's before I made my first final. Like, it's been, I mean, I'm starting to sound like I'm about to retire, but it's been a ride. Like, it's
Sure.
Like, I'm not retiring by no means, but I mean, if you look back on, unfortunately, like, things you take for granted, I took making the finals for granted because last year was the worst I've ever placed, and that was ninth in the world with one leg not working. You just expect yourself to make the finals, and I expect myself to be in world title races, not just making the final. So, yeah, I mean, it was Jess actually kind of got me the first time. I called him pretty right after I knew. I called my people first, and then I called him and told him, and, we were kind of talking about the year, and he kind of goes, well, gosh dang it. And I was like, what? And he goes, man, this is going to be my first finals where you're not sitting to the left of me. Like, who's going to, like, I'm going to have to sit in your seat in the locker room because I've always sat in the same seat for the last, 10 years that we've had it other than Arlington. And Jess has always been on my right. He goes, I'm going to have to sit in your seat so no one thinks they can take it. Yeah, I mean, just you take, the bareback riding dinner for granted, the things that you'll miss out on the first time. But I also think it's the same thing. You can be upset about missing out on it, or it can be some more kindling for that fire to light up to make sure that you're healthy and ready to rock for next year as well.
Well, and I think you're keeping things in great perspective too, because, you go back to the COVID year, you talk about all the things you got to enjoy. And it was the same thing for me, I mean, over the 4th of July, watching fireworks with your kids, being home for my son's birthday, things like that. And I would love to know some of the dad things that you've been able to catch up on since you've been home.
Well, both birthdays. It's actually today, April 23rd, is my youngest's birthday. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, today we celebrate his second birthday. I've always made it for my oldest, Hazen's birthday, but his birthday is during Houston. Like, and the way the American, like, every time, like, I'm drawing around, like, just to get home. But, like, this year, we got to do a party for him and be involved in the party and, like, making sure, like, you're there. Usually, like, in the past, like, I'd always fly in on a red eye, and, I would get to the house at 3 and my wife would just let me sleep. So I wasn't, I could be present during the later days. But like this year, like, we woke him up with a happy birthday and had the house decorated for him and threw him a big party with all of his new friends at school. Like, that was big, like, but because I was involved in all that. I wasn't just, there for the moment. I was actually involved in the party this time. And same with Stratton, like, getting one, we're going to throw him a party tonight, and then we're also going to throw him a party on Sunday where everyone can be involved. And especially being back in Iowa now, like, we're around so much more family. So getting to be involved in a lot more family stuff, like doing stuff on the weekends with your neighbors, like, there's just so much that's taken for granted because we're gone on the weekends. When everyone else goes has their fun from a long work week and kind of, blow some steam off, we're at work.
Right.
And you never really get to experience that until, you're done, I guess.
What are the kids into?
Well, Hazen is really into, like, Five Little Monkeys and stuff like that. Like, he's really into songs right now.
Okay.
And playing, like, Hazen has, like, the sweetest, gentlest heart. Like, so he's into, like, doing little cutouts, or he kind of changes from, like, week to week. Last week he was into Batman. The week before he was into cars. And this week he figured out, and kind of last week too, his mom's computer can do printouts. So, like, he has her print out every day different Five Little Monkeys or like 10 in the bed, so he can print them out, cut them out, and then play with them as well. And Stratton is just an absolute tear. Like he is my son to a T. He just wants into everything. He's very into being outside, going on ranger rides, you know, seeing cows, seeing horses, and terrorizing his older brother.
That is so much fun.
I feel like those are the best ages too.
Yeah, I mean, like, so like tonight, I mean, typical how kids mess up on. They don't mess up, but like Hazen has a school musical tonight that we're going to. It just happens to be on Stratton's birthday, so that's why we're not having the party tonight too. So, but a 2-year-old doesn't understand that, so he'll be all right. But we got him one of those little horses that have the skateboard wheels underneath them that they can jump up and down. And they move around extremely fast. So I'm about to be chasing him up and down the street on a little horseback.
That sounds like so much fun. How has the venture been for Ranch & Co. Interiors? Talk a little bit about that extension for you guys as a family.
Yeah, so that actually started in COVID. I had nothing to do. As did we all after we all really got shut down. And turns out a lot of my friends and that when we were living in Marshall were starting to get pregnant, you know, a lot of time spent with each other. So, so I had made Hazen's crib when he was a baby. So then I started, I was like, you know what, if this will eat up, at least 40 hours of my time, I'll just start making cribs. And we had purchased a lot of our furniture from a company out of Texas, and they seen I was making cribs, and they kind of approached us about maybe like being partners or starting a company. And at that time, like it really was kind of a big idea that we would buy that company, but it kind of fell through and it was stagnant for a couple of years. And one of my sponsors, who are like really good friends of mine, we actually met in the beach of Cabo originally, and they have the original windmill ceiling fan company, and they just had an idea like, why don't we just start our own furniture company? Like, we can do this. Like, so last November of 2022, that was like our idea. So when we started going forward, January of 2023, we had our website up and going, and it's been really moving quickly ever since. Like, I can't take as much credit for it. This is really my wife's niche. Like, she has such a good eye for talking with people, seeing pictures of their house, and then helping them create custom furniture. Because that's really what Ranch & Co. Interiors is we can do any type of piece for your home. It doesn't matter if it's bedroom, kitchen, living room, dining sets, you name it, we can build it. And if you dream it, we can build it too. That's really our slogan. Like, it's a complete customizable furniture company. And because we're in Western, like we've done a lot of Western pieces so far, but we can go contemporary to really anything you can imagine. So that's been the venture, for life after rodeo as of right now.
I love to hear that you have a general plan for life as after rodeo. I know you have a lot more to give when it comes to the rodeo world, but it's fun to see the transition. I think nowadays when you see individuals competing at an event and also planning their future, knowing that there is life after rodeo.
Yeah, and I'm, how do I put this? So last year, this groin has been such a nagging injury for such a long time last year. Like, it was really one that I've never had to baby an injury so much. And it really made me think about retiring last year. Like, it was that aggravating. And, after I got it fixed this last time, like, you start realizing like how bad you felt all last year, because it feels good like within days after surgery. You made the right decision. And it made me realize two things. One, I am not ready to be done with rodeo. But two, I also know that my life in rodeo has less time in it than it did than starting. Like, I know I'm on the backside of my career for sure. Like, and I don't know exactly when, but I know it's probably within the next 4 to 5 years. And I've talked with my wife and I've talked with my coach, who are my, two people that really know my style and know when I'm at my best and know when, like, I need to come home and recharge my battery. They'll just tell me that. So I've given them both, like, you can call this at any time. It doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where. Like, if you say, like, it's time for you to hang your spurs up, if they say it, I'll listen. Because, like, as a competitor, you'll never lose that. It doesn't matter what you do. Like, when you've hit the top of your sport, the pinnacle of your sport, and you're driven to do something, your mind will override your body. But Father Time is undefeated when it comes to the end of the day. Right. And I'm not going to hang around rodeo and be a shell of myself either. Like, I won't let people's version of me be someone that stuck around too long at the same time.
Well, good on you for realizing that, Tim, because it really takes someone who is emotionally mature, and somebody that understands that at the end of the day, there's more to life than just rodeo, and there's more things that you have to offer the world, and you guys have kind of proven this through this company that you've started, and that's very exciting. I do have to ask you one more question, though. I mean, being in carpentry, have you ever said any explicit words to a skill saw?
I've said a lot of explicit words when it comes to carpentry. Oh my goodness. I've said it lately too. I had this little hallway that leads to my gym. My new house, we have a 4th floor garage, and my wife let me buy a gym so I don't have to go to the gym anymore. And I had some stuff that was in my old trophy room, and I was like, you know what, this would be a good little spot to kind of hang it up in this 10-foot hallway. But it was, concrete wall with, like, just drywall, no finish on it. And I just hung that stuff up, and I walked down there to show her what I did because I felt so accomplished. And she goes, no. Like, this was fine when it was just this ugly hallway, but now you put lipstick on a pig. So now you're going to have to paint and do all this other stuff. Well, the painting, which was way more than what I thought, because in a concrete wall with all the little cracks, like, your roller brush doesn't get, so you have to hand paint every little crack to actually get it. We were doing it black, so it's showing everything too. Oof. Well, that turned into, I had to put, vinyl flooring down too, which that is not as easy as the directions say it is. So I finally had wasted like two $70 boxes of this vinyl plank, and I said something. She goes, "Oh my God, did you cut a finger off down there?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "I just heard mother effer very clearly, and I'm like upstairs, and you're downstairs around 2 hallways." Like, oh, yes. But yeah, little projects like that usually get some vulgar language coming out, to say the least.
All you wanted to do was hang a mirror, and now you're redoing the bathroom.
Yeah, I wanted to hang 2 big, like, Fort Worth, for their past champions, would like blow up big pictures from the year before of like the champions.
Okay.
Well, the first year, I was like, the first year I won it in 2016. I was going to like I was like, ask them, "What are you doing with that picture?" And they were taking them down, and they're like, "We're about to break them and throw them in the trash." And I was like, "Can I have that? Because that's me. Like, I'd really like that photo. Like, you don't usually get 3 foot by 3 foot photos for free very often. If you're gonna break it, I'll take it." And so I hung that one up, and I had the one from 17. So I was just hanging some nice photos up, and then it just turned into a 5-day project for this little 10-foot hallway.
Oh gosh,
keeps us occupied out of our wives' hair.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been awesome just to chat with you, and we hope that rehab continues to go well, and we look forward to seeing you back on the trail next season.
Well, I appreciate it. Good luck this year.
Thank you, sir.
Want to experience more of the NFR? Then visit nfrexperience.com, and we invite you to subscribe to NFR Extra on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you're listening right now. If you like what you've heard on NFR Extra, we would love it if you gave us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe.